Hey guys, back again. Almost after a month right now. So, what led me to record this video today is after battling with depression for almost July, August, September, 2.5 months, almost like roughly 2 months, um, I understood the meaning of life. So the depression started with career question, like, oh, I'm like, because I had a dreams in my head, like it was more on the career front. And then it slowly went into, since I always had that thing in my head, like what's upcoming, like, so I always used to plan ahead. So rather than being in the moment, being in the present, I always used to be planning for the future. It's like I'm not very satisfied with where I am. I want to reach there. So if I'll plan for that, I'll ultimately succeed in my present. So that used to be my mindset always. And that mindset led me regarding career planning and stuff. And then I think uh, I just felt lost a bit. I think my sleep before, I think few months back, I was not sleeping properly. So even that health factor impacted my mental health to lead to depression. But other than that, the thing in my head that I always keep on questioning, that led to the other thing. And then I went on to the path of what's the meaning of life altogether. So I was like, so that happens in depression. It's just like you are at a state where you start questioning, like, I don't know, like at that state you are very critical about everything in life around you. I don't know, like for me, what I experienced was I started reading a bit of Gita and stuff, and then I got when I was depressed, so it gave me a bit of light at start, and then I went into, okay, so these are the things that you should do to do good. So I was mainly again focused on my career. It's like I want to do good, I want to push hard, you know. So um, yeah, I just got lost. Yeah. So these things, yeah. So I was like, let's not get distracted by all this social media and stuff. So for last almost 2 months, I didn't give any dopamine. I know. So I was like, oh, Geeta said this, like do this. So I don't know, like I've always been like that, to be a bit extreme, like get to the extreme end. So it's like, oh, you should not do this, then I'll completely abandon it, like on the extreme. So I did that. And then so I'm like, oh, dopamine. So you have to like channel your energy. So that's how I got it. It's like, oh, you should not waste your energy doing useless stuff. So you should channelize your energy. So all of a sudden, all the dopamine or the things that I used to enjoy or like levels up my serotonin level, right? It's like eating a bit of spicy food, like whatever, like it has a flavor in it. So it will so all our tongue receptors, it will sense that taste and will feel good hormones, all this hormones and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll channelize these things into productive things like doing exercise, doing focused in work, and reading. So all the things that are very good. So I completely stopped the other means of where I used to enjoy, and I completely got hooked into this, which led to depressive state, because so I was only working, I was just exercising, and then while exercising, I used to feel good because my head was not heavy. So I used to like exercise, uh, doing exercise, and then um yeah. So this was the, how would I call it, the ground where things were since last few months, and then slowly, like, see, I'm still not recovering. Like this is false way of like telling myself that I'm going good, but internally still my serotonin is off. That's what happens in depressed people. It's like your serotonin, like something is off in your brain. The brain is such a mysterious thing, like something is off. It's just you can feel it. None of us can help. Like even the medication, antidepressant will help to artificially release it, but something within you is off in a mental level, and then it leads to depression, right? So for me, it was, I think that didn't help me. Like I was exercising, I was eating healthy, but not a lot of like tasty, like as in like all this spices and all were not there. It was mainly baked and how do I call it? Like boiled stuff. So very bland raw stuff I was eating. And then because of this extreme step that I took, my serotonin took a hit. And then I was doing okay, but I was not still recovering from my depressed state. So at first I thought my vitamin D level has decreased because I think at start uh, after a month I believe I took my vitamin D and I suddenly started getting better. So I thought like maybe my vitamin D is off, so I'm feeling depressed. But the actual thing was in my head. I was still questioning the life, like what life actually is. And then I was going okay, and then in the Dasai, so a week before, so this is October recording at October 8th. So on October 2nd, I went to celebrate the Nepalese festival called Dasai, and that the day was very good. So I was just in a depressed state. What happens? I feel like I was getting over conscious. Like my consciousness, I don't know, since all these other senses, I'm not like consuming, like the way we normally get our serotonins. So when I actually used to enjoy anything, I used to enjoy like crazy. So my serotonin used to spike, so it's not at a stable level, so it's completely off zero. It goes like max to 100. So it's like that happens, like it was not stable, my receptors. So during the dasai, so that day I enjoyed it a lot, and then the other day, so I didn't had a good sleep that night because I came home late, and then I had just had like 5.5 hours of sleep. And then the other day in the office, I was like, again, I was getting a bit anxious, anxiety and stuff. And then I had a coffee in the evening, and I get like a lot more anxious, and I'm like, something's off with my body. I don't know what, but something's off. So I realized, like, I don't know, like my body is cold from inside. So when you are in depressed state, like naturally my body is always cold. I don't know why. And so maybe I was always depressed. So, like all this time in my life. So depression is not like you have to be depressed for a long day. So even a day you spend in an unhappy, angry, or in any negative emotion, you are still, I wouldn't call it depressed, but yeah, it's pretty much similar. Is depression is just on an extreme end, but the day you just, the day just went by and then you couldn't enjoy that day in your life. So that day, that date is gone. So if you are depressed on a particular date, so that day passed away and you didn't live that day, you know. That's the reason all these people say like live today, don't think about future, like enjoy every moment, live like it's your last day. That does not mean you should do the negative stuff, but enjoy it in a positive way. But yeah, our generation, they tell it YOLO, you only live once, and then they get indulged into other things. See, it's fine. It's just that you have to be ready to face the consequences. So if you get intoxicated, use substance, it's okay. You are enjoying it, but I believe you can enjoy at same level without even touching a substance. But yeah, if you're doing that, you have to ready to face the consequence. So that's the only thing that I understood. And then so after that Dasa event, I got anxious and stuff. And then I went to check the doctor, and the doctor is like, "Oh, bro, you are depressed and stuff. So take antidepressants, and then it will help you and stuff." I'm like, "Okay, I'll see what should I do." And then I'm like, I don't feel like I'm depressed. It's just something in my head is like I'm still not getting. So the thing that I was thinking about all this time was life, what life actually is. It's like I'm not getting. Uh, so all these things, there's some negative sentiment stuck in my head regarding life. It's like, oh, what is this? This is material world. So and since I started reading Gita and then yoga stuff, like all this meditative, so I think something there, I took it in my head, and then I was like, oh, what is this? So it's like, oh, you are in a meditative state. So it's like you're in a state where you don't have any thoughts, It's like you're just there, and then you're in a neutral state. You're not either happy, you're not even sad. It's like a neutral state. That what I had in my head when I was like watching all these YouTube videos about Sadhguru and other yogis and then monks and stuff. And then they were saying like, yeah, that's called meditation. And then some were saying like being conscious is called meditation. What's happening around you? So when I was depressed, I was feeling all this. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm getting enlightened. It's like, oh, I can like actually, because since when you are depressed, your receptors are off. So anything that happens, it happens at an extreme level. So it spikes up. So when I used to get when I used to eat, I can actually very clearly have the clarity of my energy level rising in my body. So I become like my senses were sharp, like sharp. I'm like, wow, like I don't know. Like some people experience this when they get intoxicated, but I was depressed and I was experiencing all these things. It's like my senses were sharp. So I'm like, wow. So maybe because of my meditation, because once I was depressed and they say that, oh, you should not overthink, and also you should start meditation, because meditation is the best way to help solve a lot of mental health problems. So I started meditating and stuff, and also I'm like, okay, my senses are getting super. So maybe I'm turning into a superhuman, whatever. And then whatever they say in the videos is like, oh, I'm not even feeling very happy, and I'm not even feeling very sad. So I'm just like, my emotions are off. It's like my serotonin is completely off. So I'm not feeling any emotion. I'm just like existing there. So it feels like, so that's the state of depression. But since I heard all these things in the YouTube, so I felt I was still feeling happy. So I was not feeling bad at the state. Like some self within me was bit happy and positive that the state I am in is actually a good state, because I'm there. So it's not like I don't have thoughts coming in my head. Because, yeah, so there was this book that I read from Michael Allen Singer called Surrender Experiment 2 years back in 2023. And then, even in that book, he says that, uh, so I'm not lost in my thoughts, because he started his book with like, there's always this mental chatter in our head. So normal person like us, because we are pretty normal, right? Our serotonin level is flowing in stably. So we don't sense that. But in depressed state, since your receptors are off, you can even sense tiny stuffs, like even very small things, you can sense it, and then you'll realize like why it's that important. So that's the reason when I was depressed, I actually realized how positive things are important in life. So positivity is so important. I actually realized when I was depressed. Because in our daily life, we are just like hooked in our work. We are just working all day, not smiling, it's like serious work. And then I actually realized that just a smile can help you so much. Because even that a bit of smile in that depressed state will make you so happy. And then if you feel any negative thoughts at that state, so that will lead you, like it will crash you down so much. So it's like that sensitive your brain becomes, since you are like pretty much neutral. Like you are not just like just like the yogis and the monks says, like I'm just in the state where I'm not happy, not sad. So I can see that clarity. So the clarity was there in my head. And then slowly what happened, so I was kind of doing that and stuff, and then I can actually, yeah, and the other thing was I can even like I was so conscious, I don't know, so I can even sense my head. So while I was thinking, And while I was trying to recall the memory back in, I can actually sense my prefrontal cortex like processing. And normally, then that's the thing I researched after I recovered. Like, it's like what, 2 days back. So on Monday, it clicked me what's life all about. And then after that, I started recovering. Now I'm pretty normal now. So, and then in the afternoon, I could actually feel the middle state, the actually in the, I don't know what's the word for this, I forgot when I was researching about brain later. So this part was active. So this frontal prefrontal cortex, it has all the memories in it, and this part is pretty bland. Like at this state, if you are in this state like completely, you are actually like slowly. So in depressed state, like this part, like the center of your brain is active. I didn't know this. Like in a academic sense. So I experienced that. It's like my brain was going into this state, and then and that's the state where you are very neutral. So you don't feel positive, you don't feel negative, you're just there, like neutral. And then at that step, it clicked me like I actually don't want to stay there, because if I actually, like, when my senses are getting there, since I'm neutral, my consciousness was very high. Like when I used to focus, like I'm focusing there, like my eyes are not blinking. It's like very deep focus. I can actually sense my heartbeat. I actually sense my body shivering. Every beats. Like I'm hyper conscious. And then that's the state I believe all the yogis and stuff, like, see, I don't want to get in that state because it is very frightening. And then when I was at that state, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, I don't want to get pulled into, this, people call it enlightenment, or like they have lived the life, but I'm pretty happy with this material world. I just don't want to live this. So I was getting in that state. And then that's how I perceived the words, like you have to not be in your thoughts, just be in the moment. And then, yeah. And then when I was at that state, um, yeah, I just, like screamed within myself that I just don't want to be in that depressed state. As in, like, I just don't want to be that conscious. I'm like, I want to be in this, I want to feel all my emotions. And that, like, inner pull that came from within, I can actually sense all my emotions going slowly into my prefrontal cortex. And then slowly, and then suddenly it clicked me. So what's the aim of life? Like why I'm living my life for. So now, so that's how I, so that's how I realized, like, our brain, it normally has an anchor point. So if your anchor point is gone, normally people feel a bit depressed. It's like you are doing all your life for something, in your brain, like unconsciously or consciously, that's there. So I don't know, like, mentally what state I am in, or like how from the early childhood something with my brain, I don't know how my brain functions, but if there is a anchor, then I get excited, or like there is a reason to do stuff. And then I made that anchor. It's like before, my anchor was career, and then it switched to what life is. I want to get into a meditative state. It's like I just don't want to feel any emotion, because I don't want my brain always like thinking about stuff. So that state I got in, and then from the neutral I pulled myself back into the material world. And then I stated the reason for that was I want to live in the material world. Wait, I'll just read it.